My name is Evan Spence, this is Chasing Cars, and today we have the 2025 Toyota Landcruiser 79 series. Now what's new for 2025? Nothing. Not that I can tell anyway. It's the same model we've had for a few years now, which dates back to 1985, so it's somewhat of a dinosaur. And I think that's the whole point of this car. You're paying more money for less items. For people like me that want a simple, rugged off-roader that's charming and fun to drive, it's a really cool car that ticks some boxes. But for most other people, I find it really hard to recommend this vehicle to people to buy because it is such a niche car. The steering's awful. It's got the worst turning circle. It rides like a truck. It feels like a tractor. The infotainment system might as well just be a picture. But if you don't like beeps and bongs and being annoyed with various features like that, the simplicity is just so authentic and wonderful. So we know a lot about this car already. It's been out for a few years. We know it's got the 2.8 litre motor, which is similar to the Hilux and Prado engine. We know it's got an automatic gearbox now, which is great. It's also got front and rear diff locks being a GXL, the top of the line, not that you'd know it. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding critical here, just I want to paint the picture. This car's not for everyone. It's for your farmers, mine operators, people that work on the land, recreational four-wheel drivers that want a blank canvas to build into something pretty special. If you want to sit in traffic day to day and drive this to the city, you've bought the wrong car. There's so many better options. So to prove that point, all we're going to do today is take this off-road and show you the turning circle, show you how low the leaf springs are and where they hit. Just have a bit of fun, because that's what it's all about. Let's go and get the cruiser dirty.
Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car.
Brought to you by
So what's different from the original 79 series? Down the side, we've got some chunky indicators. They're a newish addition. We've also got these 7-inch round LED headlights, which is super cool. Like, they look a bit out there, but they're good performers and I think they're cool to see. Gotta love a round headlight. We've got a raised air intake, not a snorkel, because it is a two-piece unit and it's flimsy as all get up. It's not gonna be sealed. It's gonna rattle and vibrate. I would just be ditching that for an aftermarket unit straight away. Now, if we go down the side, got auto locking hubs, very similar to the GU Patrol. Not the most reliable system, but hey, it makes things a little bit easier. Inside, you've got cloth seats being a GXL. We've got front and rear diff locks, a place to put your darts on the dash. Yeah, that's about it. There's a couple of cubbies, really good air conditioning. The infotainment system's basically useless. It's got two 4-inch speakers. So do you want me to keep going with this, or can we just go and get the car muddy? There's a couple of immediates when you jump into any 70 series Land Cruiser. The first thing I'm noticing is the key is hitting my knee, and it's really quite annoying. So that's something, I can't move the seat back any further. Something you have to get used to, I suppose. The next thing is the steering and turning circle, which is absolutely disgusting. It is very tiring to steer this vehicle. It's physically hard to steer this vehicle because it is so firm, and you're just constantly on the wheel because the turning circle is so pathetic. Now, I don't know why the turning lock is so bad on this car. I think maybe it's to preserve components like CV joints, because if you don't have a massive steering lock, they're going to be less stressed and last longer. But gee, for an everyday driver, it's taxing. And I used to love this vehicle, but I guess these days I get to drive a lot of different cars as well as four-wheel drives. And it's a very old school experience and not in a positive light, really. But anyway, we'll get over that. You do get used to it, but you shouldn't really have to. Other things, brakes, pretty good, nice and progressive. A little bit of sponginess to them, which is good for an off-roader because you can be more progressive with how you dial it in. I'm just in two-wheel drive. I'm about to put it into low-range four-wheel drive. So you've got a separate lever there, put the vehicle into neutral, pull it back, doesn't want to go. Awesome. This one's a bit clunky. It doesn't like shifting too good either. So maybe it's just new. This car is brand new, 30 kilometers on the clock. So we're in low range four-wheel drive now, and there's a massive hill climb here, which I don't think we'll make it up. We'll try with the traction control only. Look at that turn to turn. That's such a rubbish steering lock. Oh, so we're wrestling with that. You can cancel your gym membership with this, but I guess you're probably a pretty tough person if you drive one of these cruisers anyway. So up this hill, super loose, and there's an undercut rock. Giving it all she's got, she ain't getting up there. So we're back on down. I love the smell of burning rubber in the morning. And we'll chuck on the diff locks, front and rear, which is just a rotary dial. Push it in, and they look like they're loading. I might need to roll into it a bit to get them to engage, being E-lockers. The rear's in, the front's still thinking. The front is locked. Immediate difference, firms the steering up. Okay, let's give a bit of momentum on this one and see if we can make it up. In low range four-wheel drive with both diff locks on, I'll give it a bit of a punt. That's the limit, I think. If I drove that any harder, that's going to bounce that front end up, and on a hill that steep, not a great idea. So let's go find something else we can maybe drive up, or maybe we can't. This is all good fun, isn't it? I'm going to turn those lockers off too, because the front locker in, steering is incredibly difficult. And that's in any vehicle, that's not just the 70 series. So that's negatives out of the way. Steering, not great. Key bumping my leg, not great. What I do like is aircon's fantastic in this vehicle. Definitely chills it down nice and quick. The ride quality is not too bad for something that should really, in all rights, drive pretty bad. On the highway, it was really good. Definitely some wind noise from the A-pillar, and you get some noise from this raised air intake, which I've said before, I'm never going to refer to it as a snorkel because it's not sealed, and I would be throwing that in the bin the second I bought this car if I were to buy this car. Now I guess on that question, would I buy this car? It's so charming. It's just such a charming vehicle. It's so honest, it's so rugged, it's so dependable, but there's so many better vehicles on the market. But there's not many vehicles on the market that can do what this does better. This is something that'll take punishment day in, day out. Even if you bump on a ledge or something like that, you can scrape your way through most times. Where we are finding limitations is the leaf springs in the back. Now this is a sprung under vehicle, meaning the axle sits on top of the leaf springs. So the leaf springs sit super low, and we're finding the longer wheelbase of the dual cab ute. It's meaning we're hitting on the spring hangers a fair bit. And I mean a fair bit, they've copped some damage. Sure, you can drive through that, but you're just going to keep breaking things. So we've got a rock ledge up here. I'll show you what I mean. And again, like these moguls we're driving on, the car's not too bouncy. I know I'm getting thrown around a bit, but it's an unladen ute with a massive payload capacity. You'd expect it to ride rougher. If Toyota could dial the steering in a little bit better, this would be a much more livable vehicle, especially with this 4-cylinder and auto combo. I quite like it. I don't really miss the V8. I miss the V8 noise, but this is performing very well. So climbing up this rock ledge here, and the front end makes it up easy. So excellent approach angle there. And if I just crawl through, we don't want to hurt the car, bang, on the leaf springs. Car's now stuck. So yeah, I'd be looking at some aftermarket alternative, or at least fitting some bigger tyres and giving you a better chance for off-road success. Oh, another thing, the handbrake, brand new handbrake. Pretty rubbish. The other thing that's rubbish, these mirrors, terrible. On the highway, they fold themselves in. You sort of start asking yourself questions. At $93,000 for this vehicle, why the hell would anyone buy one? But at the same token, I kind of want one. In terms of features, you don't get much. You're paying for that privilege. You're paying to not get a lot. Whereas the BYD Shark, for example, you're paying a little amount of money to get a lot of features. But this is going to be better off-road, hands down. You do get 2 USB-C points, a 12-volt point. This has got a trailer control. We've got the second gear start, power haul mode, downhill assist, traction control off, front and rear lockers, and you've got your DPF regen button and an idle up button. Auto gearbox as mentioned. This cubby, which is, yeah, it's pretty average. The seats, they're a weird one. They're kind of, I think I prefer the base Workmate seats over the GXL, which is the top of the line, this model. They're comfy, but they're sort of comfy in a Salvo's second-hand armchair kind of way, something you'd find at an inner-city pub that's trying to be cool. They're comfy, but they're just a bit flat, a bit lackluster. There's not much adjustment. It's just forward and back, really. So if you've got a bad back, you probably have to look at, again, an aftermarket solution, and That's something with this vehicle, thankfully, is so well catered towards. You can do anything to this car, from coil conversions in the rear end, power upgrades, you name it. This is as modifiable as the Jeep Wrangler, in my opinion, and probably more practical because you've got a much larger tray area, you can carry more weight, you've got a better dealer network in terms of numbers. There's a reason why farmers buy these vehicles, and there's a reason why they're popular in the mines, because they just work and they just keep on working. They'll probably rust to pieces before they break down. One more challenge. Just going to lift a little wheel here. Now, speaking of suspension, coil springs in the front, leaf springs in the rear as discussed. You've got very good low range reduction in the transfer case. This thing just crawls at a snail's pace off-road. Everything's plastic and hard wearing, easy to clean. We do have power windows, which is exciting. Welcome to the future. And not much else. A very basic back seat, which has been described by one of my colleagues as the worst back seat he's ever sat in. It's just something about it though. On paper, none of this makes sense, but it's just part of the charm. Now, we've dubbed this track the Waterfall. It's pretty technical, it's good fun. I really like it, and I'm certainly noticing the same things. We're hitting on the rear leaf springs, the front end's got great clearance, excellent approach angle, but you can just bash your way through. It's, cruiser country. Again, the reason why they're popular, because you can just beat on them. Super stout, super sturdy. It's a commercial vehicle. Just painted in lovely Merlot red. Excellent throttle modulation, very easy to control. And we're gonna hit, this is a really gross angle, especially made worse with that rear wheel track, which is 4 inches narrower than the front, which is, come on, just please can we fix that, guys? All right, we're gonna scrape probably on these leaf springs here. No, we made it through, cool. We did that whole course just with traction control, no diff locks. So it shows it's effective, albeit a little slow to operate. So you need to feed this traction control system. You need to sort of be on it, be a little bit aggressive. Don't be afraid to push this car a little harder off-road because it can take it.
Well, what do we think about the 2025 79 Series Landcruiser, mainly in an off-road setting? Look, it's a bit of a beast. The traction control's not that great. You've got to feed the accelerator in to get it moving, but hey, you've got front and rear lockers, so you can slide your way through anything. And slide's the operative word. Those leaf springs hang so low on this, we were constantly hitting them, and we weren't driving very technical terrain. This is basically a training center. So what do you need to make it better? Bigger tires are going to help mainly. I'd look at a bit of suspension lift as well, just to take a bit of the harshness out. It doesn't ride too bad for what it is, but it could be better. Because as mentioned, this is a fantastic blank canvas. But we're here to answer the question, is this a dinosaur that should still be freely allowed to roam? I think so. I'm really glad that we still have this vehicle in 2025, even with all its shortcomings. Is it for everyone? Absolutely not. But if you're a farmer or someone working in a hard industry, someone that's going to beat their vehicle up off-road, this thing's going to come back for more every single time. So I'm glad we still have this vehicle in 2025, even though we lost the V8, which sure, it sounded great. This little four-bagger does a great job, especially with the automatic gearbox. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to share, like the video, tell your friends about it, and you'll see us on the next adventure.